Hey y'all, if you're new here, I'm April.Kristine. Welcome to my channel. And if you're not new here, take a seat because it's about to get heavy around here. If this is the first video you're seeing of me and my face, I have a series, and it's not a series yet, but hopefully today, added onto my last video about this topic, I can make it kind of like a series. Things are usually pretty fun and light and exciting and coffee related around here, but sometimes it does get kind of heavy. We do get into some very real, very raw emotion. Today is September 20th. September's a very hard month for me. If you haven't seen my original video, I will post it in the cards. I have a video on my channel called Surviving Traumatic Loss. I filmed that January of this year. You can watch that video first to try to catch up, or if you're just here for the title of this video, then just a little backstory. When I was 16, I did lose my brother. It was a very rapid, all of a sudden loss. It was very traumatic for not just me, but my community. It was very traumatic. I come from a very small town here in Texas, and I just want to bring to this platform, out of my experiences, the things that I've learned and the things that I've really struggled with and the things I still continue to struggle with. Today's video is going to be the most recent learning experience on this grief journey of mine. I really have to learn how to be selfish when it comes to my grief, and be selfish when it comes to getting through that and knowing what I need in order to make that happen. So that's what today's video is going to be about. Trigger warning, trigger warning, trigger warning. Of course, if this is not the content you are able or suitable to listen to right now, please don't. You can save it for later. I will have the playlist up of my grief journey, and whenever you're ready, whenever you're mentally, physically, emotionally ready to watch it, it will be here on my channel. It's not going anywhere, I promise, but I really hope you find the healing that you need, and I will be here when you're ready. But for those of you who are ready for today, last week was really hard for me for some reason, and we'll get into that. But last week is what started all of this. Again, September's a really hard month for me. Some years are harder than others. When you're watching this video, yesterday will have been 12 years since I've lost my brother, which is wild to think about, that it's been 12 years. If my voice sounds shaky, this is really hard for me, but I'm really gonna try to keep my emotions together this video. My original video, I was very emotional, and most of the time I am when it comes to this subject, but I feel like my message will be brought across more clear if I keep it in check. So I'm going to do my absolute very best. Please be patient with me. Let's get into it. So last week's video, or not last week for you guys, 2 weeks ago, I uploaded an Instagram controls my day video. It was supposed to be super fun, super light, and for some reason that day I just woke up in a really bad mood. I had a lot to do that day. I was expecting to do everything that I had to do with the girls, but for some reason I just woke up super moody and tired, and I was more confused because I didn't know why I was so upset. Any little thing was making me angry. Like my back had been hurting. Like I didn't know what was going on. I just felt super moody. I was the most irritable you could imagine. Like any little thing that inconvenienced my day was just making me so annoyed. I was just short fused and irritable that morning. I had no idea what was going on. But after I had time, what worked for me was I needed to breathe for a second. September's a really hard month for me, and I know that, but I couldn't figure out what was triggering me. I couldn't figure out why I was upset until I sat down and I thought about it. And the day before, I was scrolling through Instagram reels and I came across this reel, and it was like, imagine your younger self giving you a huge hug, like a squeeze hug. And for some reason that just triggered me, because when I think about my younger self and comforting my younger self, obviously I think about the loss of my brother. But I had seen that the day before, so why it was triggering me the next day, I had no idea, but that's what was happening. All of these things, let me say, is what works for me, and grief is different for everybody. I lost a brother, but my mom lost a son, my grandma lost a grandson, my aunt lost a nephew, like Tommy, my best, not blood, but brother, lost his best friend. Everybody grieves so differently, and everybody's journey is their own, but this is what has helped me and what I've learned, and I just, again, want to share that with the internet, because when I was 16, I didn't have anybody that knew what I was going through or had went through, or there was no internet there was internet, but it wasn't what it is today, to be able to understand what I was feeling, if that makes any sense at all. All of these things might not have anything to do with what you're going through or what you're feeling, but maybe it might. And so that's what this video is for. So for me, I needed to call my mom. When I'm grieving really bad, I don't like to call my mom. I don't like to talk to people that are too close to the situation, because I don't then in turn want to trigger them or upset them or anything like that. And I honestly probably shouldn't be like that, but I am. It's hard for me to find certain people to talk to about this subject. I don't have very many like close friends to me that I just immediately call, but because, and I think that's part of the reason that I've learned to kind of navigate this thing. Not at all encouraging you to figure it out yourself, but I feel like that's my personality and that's what's worked best for me, is to know what I need and how to go about things. So for me that morning, I really just needed some alone time, some quiet time. I think that's why I was so frustrated, is because doing everything that I'm doing, being a mom and doing YouTube and trying to keep the house together. We just moved, and then on top of feeling the way that I was feeling, I have so many things that need me. It's hard for me to take time to feel what it is that I need to feel. So I had to take a second to understand what had triggered me. I had to take a second to understand why I was so irritable. I just came to my room and I just needed to cry, and that's what worked for me. So I sat here and I was very upset for a little while. I was of course angry at first, but none of my anger had to do with my trauma. My anger had to do with what was happening right then and there. I felt like I was being triggered because I needed to feel these emotions, and I really honestly didn't have time to sit down and feel them. But also too, I knew I had a lot to do that day. Knowing that I had a lot to do and knowing that I just needed time to feel what I was feeling, I let myself have that. And that's what I mean by being selfish with what you need, especially in your grief. I advocate a million times over on this channel and all of my platforms for women empowerment and understanding that your mental health is very important. And as moms, as women, we have a lot happening, and we don't always have time that we need for ourselves. But self-care is so important. Your mental health is so important. Knowing what you need and asking for help, especially in the times that you know you really need it, it's so important. But knowing what I had to do for the rest of the day, knowing how busy I was going to be, I had to take at least 5 minutes to sit here and just be a mess. And that's what I needed. The thing is with me, is after I allow myself to feel everything that I'm feeling and to mourn him or grieve him or whatever it is that I might need that day, then I felt it, you know what I mean? And then it's kind of subsides for a while. So grief for me looks, my experience with it anyways, is it's been 12 years since my brother's been gone, and I still have really bad moments of my day. So when I tell you to feel what you need to feel, I don't mean be upset and sulk in it and let it ruin everything if that's not what you need. If that's what you need, if you need a whole day, if you need a week, if you need 2 weeks, whatever it is that you need, be selfish with that and let people know I can't, this is not something that I don't have the energy for it. I can't offer you myself because I need to grasp myself first. It's just really important to be aware of you and how you're feeling, and you can't help anybody else until you help yourself. It's just really important to be able to allow yourself the time that you need to feel whatever it is. And for me, I took 5 minutes and then I was like, okay, I felt a little better. I knew I needed to get that out, and I had things to do, so we had to get moving. But that kind of helped me persist through my day because I was able to feel what I had to feel. And if I wouldn't have given myself that time, I would have been angry throughout the day. I would have been upset throughout the day. I would have been triggered. I would have just been not in the best mood to do what I needed to do because I didn't allow myself that time. With that being said, be selfish, of course, with your time and what you need, but also too, another way that I've learned to be selfish with my grief is I can't allow other people to put their input on certain things when it comes to my grief. And that might sound bad, but for me, the reason I don't reach out to certain people is I don't want to make anybody uncomfortable, especially new people that haven't always been around for everything that I went through. I really need to have strict boundaries for myself. If you're a new friend or whatever the case may be, or you're somebody new into my life, it's just hard for me to open up. And if I do open up, it's because I trust you. Once, that trust is hindered in any sort of way, whether they make you feel worse than you were feeling, or they're not really helping the situation, or whatever the case may be, it's not their fault and it's not your fault. It's not my fault that you can't give me what I need, and I'm already bad at asking for help in the first place. So when I reach out to somebody and I need them to be something for me and they can't be, then I'm like, okay, this is where I'm selfish with my grief, and I let you know you can't be a part of this. I love you endlessly. I will continue to be in your life, and I hope you continue to be in mine. But when I'm grieving and I'm having a bad day or I'm triggered, I just know that you can't be a part of that for me. At least not yet, if that makes any sense. I can't give myself to people who are then gonna need something from me. I just can't do that to myself. I have so many people in my life already that need something from me. I have children, I have a husband, I have family, I have a mother who lost her son. Like, I have these people in my life already that I already feel like I hold so much weight for. I can't then be in the thick of my grief and then have you add whatever it is you need from me on top of that, especially if I'm coming to you about the situation. So that's what I mean about being selfish with your grief. If there's somebody in your life that you absolutely love, but they can't comfort you, they don't feel safe, if that person doesn't feel safe, do not hesitate to let them know, like, I can't. Or don't even let them know. Just know in your heart that you can't. You have to be selfish. You have to know what you need. You have to know how to deal with your situation, whatever best suits you. And so often, even though I'm a huge advocate for kindness, I always think you should treat other people, kindly and sensitively. I have it tattooed on my arm, like, I'm sensitive and I need people to treat me with sensitivity sometimes. People that I love, they know that about me. So I offer that same gesture to everybody else. But even still, like, I know my boundaries and I know what triggers me, and I know what I can and can't allow myself to do. I know me, and I know that I am always a helper and I'm always going to lend myself out. I'm horrible at saying no, but when I'm grieving or I'm in the thick of feeling my grief, I have to put my foot down. I have to be strong enough to protect myself. It's just really important to learn who you feel safe with and understand who you feel safe with. And I really hope you find somebody along your journey, or maybe it's not now, maybe it's eventually, but I hope you find somebody you feel safe with. And maybe I'm still kind of on that journey myself. While I was saying all of that, I did say I know my triggers, and I think that's one very important part of being selfish with your grief, is knowing your triggers. For me, it's September is a trigger for me. This time of year, January is a trigger for me. Seeing emotional things about siblings is a trigger for me. Feeling unsafe and feeling the need to protect myself and my emotions is kind of a trigger for me. I mentioned in my first surviving traumatic loss video that my brother was a big protector of me, and after he passed away, I had to learn to do that for myself. So feeling like I need to protect myself from something is a big trigger for me. Also, I know I haven't told you guys or elaborated on how I lost my brother and the whole entire situation, but anything that has to do with the way that I lost my brother triggers me. And I say that to say there is this place I've been going that I absolutely love. I love the people, I love the environment, I love everything about it, but they had put up something. Just looking at it reminded me of the situation and reminded me of everything that I had went through, and it just was a constant reminder every time I looked at it. And I didn't realize it would affect me until it was September. Then once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it. So as much as I love to be in this space, as much as that space is supposed to be a safe space for me and a comfort place for me and something to relieve, whatever it is I'm feeling that day, because that thing was permanently up, I couldn't do it. As much as, it was a safe space for me, I knew I needed to protect myself and my mental health and my grief journey. Like, I can't allow myself to go back to this place that I knew I was. And again, all of this will make more sense once you've seen that other video. It will be linked in the description just so it's easy for you to access, but I am referencing that a lot in this video. So please go watch that if you haven't already for more understanding, if you want more understanding. But I've learned a lot and I've grown a lot in the last 12 years since being without my brother. I've learned what I need, and I've learned what I can and can't watch on the TV or what I can and can't watch on the news. I know the things that trigger me. So that being permanently up on the wall, it killed me to have to make that decision, but I knew it was a decision I had to make. I talked to Horace about it, and he was 1,000,000,000% on my side and told me that's not something he would tolerate. So it's definitely not something he would expect me to tolerate, and he doesn't want me in that space if that's how it's going to make me feel. And I had already expressed how it made me feel. I was already very communicative as far as what I needed. And again, because my needs weren't met, because there was zero understanding, it's not me being sensitive. It's not me being particular or any kind of way. It's just me knowing what I need. And I respect the fact that, you know, this is what you stand for and this is what you want to do with your place. But at the same time, I respect myself enough to know I can't then be there. I can't then allow myself to be triggered by these things that I'm seeing. So again, that's just me being very selfish with my trauma, and I deserve to be that. I've come a very long way as far as my trauma goes. I went through something very hard, and until I recognize my trauma and understand my triggers, it's part of my journey, it's part of my healing process. So know your triggers, understand what those are. You might come across new triggers that you didn't even know you had, which was my experience. Just protect yourself. I just know by being selfish with my grief, it allows myself to protect my mental health and be better for myself. Those are a few things that I've recently learned. Again, being selfish with my grief is something very new to me. For the longest time, I didn't share that part of my life. And now that I am, I feel like that's why I'm learning to be selfish, because I can't continue to give myself if I don't feel safe. The people that I was around or the establishments that I was in, it didn't make me feel safe anymore. As far as my mental health, like I wasn't scared for my physical health. Like I knew I was fine. I was in a safe place. Nothing bad was going to happen to my body. But I knew mentally it was just going to eat at me, and I couldn't allow that. I really hope that you learn to understand your triggers. I really hope that you learn to understand how to allow yourself to feel whatever it is you're feeling. I hope you have the time to allow yourself to understand. My last note for this is to just be kind to yourself. Hence my t-shirt. The same kindness you offer everybody else, the same patience you offer everybody else, I need you to offer that to yourself. If you've been here, you may have experienced trauma, you may have experienced a loss, whether that be a loss of a parent or a sibling or a child, a grandparent, a huge figure in your life, whether you lost your childhood over some trauma. Like, you deserve kindness from yourself. You deserve to heal for yourself. So the same kindness you offer strangers on the street, or the same patience you offer understaffed work establishments, you offer that kindness and patience to yourself. Again, yesterday was probably a very hard day for me, so I'm glad that I'm filming this now. If I'm not back next week, just know that I'm sorting through my stuff, but hopefully I am back next week. Hopefully, you know, this year will be easier than the past few years. Last year, I was really going through it again, and again, not every year is hard. Not every year are you in a fetal position on the floor. Like, it's not always like that. Some years we get together, we have dinner and talk about my brother and talk about the fun times we have. We mourn him in a happy way, you know what I mean? But some years it's hard. Last year I had to learn to be selfish on the internet. There's some people in my life that I absolutely love to death, but I just couldn't allow them to be in my space anymore on the internet. I still love them, you know, I still will talk to them and greet them if I come across them, but I can't allow them to have that power over my mental health. And then this year, I'm making changes as far as the establishments that I go to with things that trigger me, or the people that I don't feel safe with, letting them know my boundaries. That's just things that I've learned in the past few years. So making the change that I made last year as far as taking these people off of social media really helped me a lot. Hopefully that continues to be the case once next week rolls around, this week for you guys. But yeah, I just know what I need, and I am not afraid to be selfish about it. I don't care if your feelings are hurt when you knew the effect you were gonna have on me, or I've expressed to you the effect you are currently having on me. I don't care to then nurture your needs or nurture whatever you need me to nurture, because you're not being kind to me. You're not showing me any kind of kindness or patience or leniency at all for what I'm feeling. So just be selfish with yourself. Be selfish with your mental health, and be selfish for your well-being, because it's very important. If you are on your own journey, I hope you take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. I hope it helps at least just one person out there. This is for you. It's been 12 years since I've lost my brother, and it's still hard. It's still very hard. But I am doing great things. I am living a very happy life, and I deserve it, and so do you. So I really hope you find what you need. But yeah. I'm hoping that every year around this time, probably around this time, I can add to this playlist of things that have helped me along my grief journey. I really do want this to be a part of my channel. I really do want to share this part of my life with you guys. Last time you all were so accepting and you guys respected my boundaries as far as what I chose to share, and I really appreciate you guys for giving me that and allowing me to have that, because sharing this is very scary, but I just really hope that it helps somebody. So that is all for today's video, and hopefully next week we can have some fun. No, hopefully next week I can be the April.Kristine you love to come and serve you all the energy. But this week, this is what I needed to bring you. So thank you for allowing me to take the time that I need. I love you more than you could ever imagine, and I'll see you next week. Bye. Why am I like shaking? Like, this is like something I've never done before. Like, you do this all the time. Calm down. I have some notes, gotta gather my thoughts. I'm like so shaky and nervous, and I don't know why. Cause like I'm literally in a room by myself talking to a camera. Like, calm down. Last time I filmed this video, I had like hella mascara under my eye, like the entire video, and it bothered me.